So let's talk first, if we could, about this election. You were an advisor to the Clinton campaign. You worked, as John said, you worked both in the Bill Clinton administration and the Barack Obama administration. You've been a very key advisor on economics, policymaker and an advisor on economics. You're an advisor on this Clinton campaign. You heard Elizabeth Warren, no doubt, today talk to us about some of the issues. Give us without, I don't want to press you for a post-mortem, but what went wrong in this campaign? Why am I not talking to you now as the next Treasury Secretary?
Well, I think there'll be, lots of considerations about, campaigns and strategy. I think we had an excellent person in Hillary Clinton. I think her misfortune, and maybe our misfortune for progressives, is we had somebody who was perhaps extremely qualified, vast experience, at a moment in time where that was not wings to fly, but like a deep weight. And, I think my first campaign was the Dukakis campaign in '88, and George Herbert Walker's experience was very tough for us. It was like a positive thing. It was hard to overcome. Here, I think it did make it harder for her to capture some of that anger and outrage that perhaps Trump and Bernie Sanders were able to capture. But look, well,
because she'd been part of the incumbent administration?
Well, because she had been there for, she was first, she was First Lady, she was Senator from New York, she was Secretary of State, and she had to, have a delicate message in the sense that, those of us really believe that Barack Obama helped save our country from a Great Depression and deserves a lot of credit for how well things have gotten, and yet, we're a little bit like the football team that was 0-16 and now we're, 10-6. It's a lot of improvement, but people want to go to the Super Bowl and it's not there. And so she had to both kind of be a change candidate and yet somewhat build off the support, the legacy of this, past president. So it was difficult. But, I will say that, having been involved in all this, I believe one should be very passionate about their values. To me, I'm in policy because, I believe we should have a country where every child, that the accident of your birth should not overwhelmingly determine the outcome of your life, where there's room for poor Americans and immigrants and people to rise, and that working families can work with dignity, raise their families with dignity, retire with dignity. Those are values I hold dear. But I think you have to have a lot of humility in a very fast-changing economy and world on what it works best. And I think you have to have that humility after campaigns, too. I like many people, I've memorized the whole Kipling poem, If. And obviously, one of the key lines is, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. Well, I could name 5 things. They're all painful to me. That probably would have had me a little earlier on the program and had people hanging on my every word a little more. But then it would have been like, well, why? Boy, how did Hillary Clinton do it? How were we so brilliant? Well, look, she won the popular vote. There was 120,000 vote difference in the 3 states. So clearly, even if we'd won a little, or whether we lost, you have to have, I think, the humility when you win to not assume that you got it all right or you have no problems. I think you have to have the humility when you lose to not necessarily throw out your whole agenda.